There are some customers that are going to take more work than you can even afford. You're going to lose money on that customer.
And that reaction from that customer is telling you a lot about what it's going to be like with them moving forward. Before we get into anything about communication and Zoom fatigue, we need to wake everybody up with an answer to the question that we know you're wondering. Because as you saw Keith stand up, you are wondering, how tall is that guy?
And when we did presentations in public, and you walk into an office building and you walk past the security desk or the reception desk, and as we walk by, we hear people whispering, as though tall people can't hear anybody whispering.
And there is a little bit of truth to that.
There is a little bit. It all depends on what you want to hear. For all those that have a partner or a spouse out there, they understand that feeling. But what do you think they were whispering about? And this is an interactive session, meaning mic's off and you can shout it out or text it, preferably shout it out. What do you think they were whispering?
How tall is he?
There you go.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. Here's the deal. Here in Baltimore, where we are, most of the clearance bars and parking garages are set at 6'8", of which I hit my head at 6'9". That's how I double check that I'm not shrinking. And I didn't play basketball. Rebecca kills me on the court.
I killed him on our home court, even though I have zero athletic ability. But what I do have at 5'2", which is true to my maiden name Klein, which means small in German, I know exactly where Keith's blind spots are on and off the court, and they are a lot of fun to play with, which makes for setting up Zoom calls one of the biggest challenges we've ever faced in our business to accommodate someone who's 6'9" and 5'2".
We usually start 24 hours in advance getting the camera shot ready.
Making sure Keith's head is not cut off. But the number one thing for everybody to do to avoid Zoom fatigue is to make yourself easier to look at on Zoom. A lot of people show up on these calls looking like they're in some kind of witness protection program.
You know the people who shine the camera? Not many people we notice here in the front, but many times people will have the camera facing them and they are having a window right behind them, so you can't see their face at all. Or they have the camera really low, and then you can truly investigate their inner nose.
You can count nose hairs and count chins, because if you put the camera underneath you, it makes your chins multiply and it makes suitcases under your eyes. What Keith and I have found, and we found this by accident to accommodate a tall and short person, is that when you back up away from the camera and let people see your hands, it better mimics the feeling of being in person sitting across from someone at a cafe. Because body language is 70% of communication. And if you're only showing someone this much of you, you're not communicating with all of your tools.
And this is another way to feel less isolated. I believe the gentleman with the great banner, CEO, mentioned feeling isolated, wanting to see people on Zoom calls, but you want to be able to see people in a natural environment. Feel like you're having a cup of coffee, you're chatting with them. If you just have the face, it's not even human, it feels weird. And the reason we're in our kitchen is we try to make it feel as we're sitting around having a conversation. Many times people forget on Zoom calls that they are a human being first, not a robot, not an Autobot.
And that's why a lot of people are feeling a lot of friction and barriers when trying to network on these calls. Imagine back in the day going to sit with someone at Starbucks and sitting this close to them, because that's how these Zoom calls feel, and then wondering why it feels strange.
Or why we get fatigued. We can't tell you how many people don't bring a coffee or use the bathroom on a 90-minute session. Like, that's not human. Take a break. It's okay on Zoom to take a break for a minute or two and come on back, even if you're hosting a meeting. It's okay to have a drink or to have something to eat, as long as it's not falling out of your mouth and you look disgusting. Let's be real about it. We have to be,
that too.
Yes, we have to be human beings. If we're not human beings, we're not going to connect, because every one of us has a service that anybody else can do. It's whether people like us that makes a difference.
And even though we have that temptation to book as many Zoom calls in the day as possible, and at the end of the day to say, I was on 10 Zooms today, we've heard that become a bragging right among a lot of people, how many Zooms they've done. Those Zooms will get you results if you schedule pad time between them.
Because back in the day, you had time to drive between meetings. You had some downtime. You had a chance to sit and think about what the person said. Allow it to trickle through your brain in silence. But when you go from Zoom to Zoom to Zoom, you're never going to have that chance.
And you're never going to be your best you on the Zoom call. The other thing to do is always make sure, and this sounds really vain, but make sure that your camera shot looks good before every single call. Because if people are staring at shadows on your face or looking at stripes on your face if the lighting is strong in the morning or at sundown, they're going to stare more at that and not pay attention to you.
Plus, we get to people don't have their camera on. We leave sessions and we force them to turn it on. They'll say, well, I didn't get ready this morning. Well, here's the deal. If you were going to show up for work, you wouldn't do that. So what's the difference with the video?
You can't go to work and say, oh, I have a bag on my head because I didn't bother to do my hair or shower and I smell too.
Or I'm just wearing these clothes, or my room looks messy. We've heard that. Oh, it's horrible. Well, clean it up.
Or we've had people say, but I'm in bed, so this is the only angle I can show. Well, unless you're sick and in bed, you can get up. Even the back of a shower, crisp tile looks better than seeing someone's laundry right next to them. And on that note, because Keith and I are not about all talk, we're all about action, we want to do a couple Zoom makeovers right here. Who is feeling brave today? Who would like to have your shot made from good to great in a couple of seconds? Don't all shout at once.
We have some great people here already.
Yes.
We really do have some great setups. It's a very impressive group you have here today. All right.
Who would like to have a Zoom makeover?
Who wants to start Tuesday morning in a bad mood with us? Come on now. What's good about this is if you start in a bad mood, your day can only get better.
Can only get better. Let's scroll to the next screen there and see who we are going to call on.
We're going to call on some. Oh, I'm seeing somebody here.
I know who we should call on.
I can't see because I don't have my glasses. I'm getting old. Bottom left.
He knows we're staring at him too.
He's looking at us too. What's his name? I can't.
Is it Chris?
I don't know. Chris?
Yeah.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
He knew we were late.
Doing okay?
Good. You having a nice day?
So far.
It's not going to be
It's
nice.
about to go downhill because eyes are the window to the soul. We feel most connected to people when we can lock eyes. And before it was shaking hands and it would release that oxytocin, the human bonding hormone. And eyes are the next best thing. And Chris, we want to see your eyes. We're going to play with your shot right now to figure out how we can see into your eyes. What do you have? Are you facing a window right now?
No, there's a window to the side and the light's not coming in as much as it normally does.
We're going to have you swivel, if it's possible. Swivel and face the window. And something else as
with your laptop
you're shifting
or computer.
With your device. We don't want to see the side. Keith and I always use our phone for these meetings because the resolution on the phone always trumps the resolution on the laptop.
And then what we do to be able to see everybody, we also have a laptop below us to see everybody. But the camera on your phone is always going to have the best quality. But going back, can you swivel towards that window more? All right.
And if you can move your monitor along with you, if that's easy enough.
Ish. So.
Is that ish?
Yeah.
Our teenagers say that, man. I like that. You're keeping up with the times.
I know. Well, we're going to challenge you then after this session. Try putting your phone in the window and put it up on the windowsill and note the difference because that's going to create a nice natural lighting all around you. We're going to be able to see into your eyes better.
Yes. I also could have turned on the lights, but I just didn't do that.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing, Chris.
You're saving electricity. I can see that. I can see that.
We never turn on the lights, even when we have a Zoom call at 3:30 in the morning, which is what we have to do when we're working with clients in Asia. And we never turn on lights because the lights create shadows. They create ugly lighting that don't make us look our best. And we always keep with facing the window. And we've invested in a small ring light. And that gives us all the lighting we need. It has all different settings, and we'd be happy to send out a link to anyone. And no, we're not selling them out of our trunk, at least not yet.
We used to, but we did all right on that. Let's look at some of the other people here. Ooh, I'm seeing another person there. I'm thinking about. What are you thinking?
I have to step closer to read names. Marie.
Yes.
Hi, Marie. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
We thought you might be an angel with that light coming above your head right there. That's
Looks
why
like
we,
there's a halo.
that's why we picked you. We wanted to talk to a real angel on earth.
Well, you've got one.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
Now, are you using a laptop or a phone?
Laptop.
One thing you can do to improve your lighting is lift up the laptop and stick a couple coffee table books underneath it. And then it's going to shoot at eye level or just above, which is going to let us see into your face even more.
One of the things we always suggest, if you can, is build a contraption. We've all built crazy stuff. Trust me, we have the funkiest set if you could see it right now. But get above, have the camera above you shooting down. It's always the most flattering view. When you're constantly looking down at people, sort of what I do all day, but the fact is when you're constantly looking down at people, they have a different opinion. You want to be looking up. It gives you the best look that you can possibly have. Also, making sure there aren't certain things kind of popping out of your head and other things that can be distracting.
We had a woman with antlers the other day, and she wasn't aware that she was positioned perfectly so that it looked like they were her antlers coming out of her.
And the reason we sound this way and why we're talking about this, a lot of people are like, whatever, it's a camera, it's a shot, at least I'm even here. Be lucky. The fact is, you want to have the best first impression. People make a judgment the first 5 to 6 seconds they see you. After that, it's really hard to change that impression. You know, when you're walking down the street and you see somebody else on the other side, you have made a judgment. A lot of people will say, well, I never judge. I love all people. That is just not true. And I would debate that with anybody. We make a judgment and that stays with us. You want the best one when you turn on the video.
Who else is feeling brave?
Could I ask a question about the
Absolutely.
circular light? Because I have one of those, but what I find happens is the glare in my glasses makes me look like a werewolf.
You do sort of look, I kind of was, I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm kidding. Here's the thing, if you get it above you, it's going to have a different thing shining up. If you get the ring light, even if you put it maybe 8 feet up in the air, 7 feet in the air, and it's shining down, it's going to create a different look than if you have, a lot of people have the ring light and they're straight on with the ring light.
And they have it on the highest setting, thinking more is always better. Less is more. You want to keep the ring light on the most dim setting possible, because otherwise it begins to yellow you and make you look fake.
The number one thing you want to find is a window. Get near a window that pulls light towards you, and then use a ring light to add a little bit. Like it's like putting foundation on and then adding a little bit more. That's all it is. And so you don't want to use and center on the ring light. When we do these in the middle of the night, they're never going to look as good because natural light from the window is always better. This is the way it is.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
I'll
Who
go
else
if
has
you
a
want.
question?
I'll take some critique if you'd like.
Okay.
Wonderful. You have not popped up on our screen yet. Your name, you are?
Eric.
Eric. All right, Eric. I'm trying to find you, Eric. We haven't, say something else, Eric. Oh, there you are, Eric. M&T Bank, Eric.
That's me.
There you are.
Eric, I want to see less headroom over your head. It's great that you have M&T Bank and your name. Are you standing or sitting?
I'm sitting.
Sit on top of a phone. There you go. Much better.
Okay.
That looks better because we want to see more into your eyes. We care more about you than the logo.
Okay.
One thing is the back of your head is fading into that shot in the back. And
Yep.
they've done studies and shown that people think for a few minutes that it's really cool, the different pictures and things that people can put up behind them. Most people don't like them. Most people feel like, I'm not sure I can trust that person. That's not me talking. That's a study. I'm not trying to give you my opinion. I'm just telling you, see, oh, I like that picture. That was really good. Can you show that again?
Yeah.
Now, can we see it without the Zoom background?
Yeah.
If you're comfortable in your natural habitat.
Sure. Let's turn it
Because
on.
Eric, one thing you can do.
Wouldn't it be funny if there's like a crazy party going on behind them or something we didn't know?
Now you're gonna think we're crazy, Eric.
Yeah.
I like this
A
background
lot better.
much better because it's authentic. And one thing that we all do is when we're on Zoom, there's an opportunity to connect in a way that we never could in person because you never
Sure.
got to go into people's homes or see into their personal spaces. And everything behind you creates an entryway to conversations, to connections, where we can ask you about things that you're hanging on
So
the
it looks
wall.
like there's a plaque or appreciation or some certificate behind you. And we
My
would,
diploma.
it's what?
It's my collegiate diploma.
Yeah, we would ask you about that. Similarly, we were coaching a gentleman who's doing some job searching, and he had a picture with all these badges on it. Well, right away, we knew that's something significant. We got a whole discussion about him and his work as an Eagle Scout in the past and how that brings pride. Then he had a train, like not a set, but a train near him. He talked about locomotives and how he put that together with his father over the years. Those conversations broke the ice to be able to work with this gentleman who was really skittish about having any kind of career coach. I mean, this guy was like, I don't even want to talk to you people.
And somebody else hired us on his behalf to work with him. He's been out of work for a year. And a lot of people, if they saw a simple mock Zoom background behind him of, say, the ocean, they might think, oh, he's been out on the beach for a year, not going to hire him. But when you begin to see, wow, he's an Eagle Scout, which is a lifelong accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
And he took the time and detail to build this train that he spent hours, if not years, doing. Well, all of a sudden, he's much more marketable to people who are hiring.
And we can learn skills. Similarly, if you have things behind you, people can discuss stuff. The other day, we were working with a guy in California, and he had the same coffee mug as our fruit bowl, which is not here now, but it was a patterned fruit bowl. Well, that was a conversation piece. People, and this is the thing, another thing that we talk to people about, when you get on these Zoom calls, have the chance for the informal networking. I know you guys do a great job here going around and introducing and having that conversation, but many people think, oh my God, I'm on the camera, I must start right away.
Especially on sales Zoom calls. We've gotten on the phone with people who we've met on LinkedIn who've asked us for a call, and we're not sure why there's a call. We get on and right away, they want to sell us their very best widgets. And we're thinking, we don't even know you.
There's a couple, what I do all the time, you probably get these on LinkedIn, someone sends you a message, it's a typical salesy kind of message about what they do. I just write back, hey, what's your favorite candy bar? I mean, because it's that ridiculous. I don't know anything about you. You're telling me, I just want to know you as a person. I love candy. I could talk all day about my different candy bars, or what, if you could eat anything right now, what would you eat? Or if you could go anywhere, just tell me something about yourself. I want to have a human connection, especially in the age of COVID, especially in the age where we're isolated many times in our homes.
And a lot of people spend all this time trying to come up with the best fake Zoom background or trying to come up with talking points of how to sound important. When really, if you strip all that away and talk about something that you either painted on the wall behind you, something that's on the other person's wall, that's where connection happens.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions, thoughts, ideas?
I got one here.
Sure.
Good afternoon. Really enjoying this talk. Thank you. Two questions for you. One is, you see in cinema the notion of angles and non 90-degree presentation creates conflict. Similarly, do you feel that a shot like mine, or like I see on 3 or 4 of the others, that have kind of a 3D angled perspective where it's not kind of clear perpendicular lines, does that create any negativity in people's minds according to studies that you've seen? And I got a follow-up question after that too.
I love the fact that the wall comes together behind you because that creates an interesting angle. It can be awkward to stare at somebody for a long time head on. If you notice, Keith and I often sit angled a little bit because that's more authentic. Otherwise, if we sat straight up like this
the whole time,
we could look like FBI and you wouldn't want to be open with us.
Right.
But in changing your angle, changing how you're sitting once in a while, moving around, people have a fear. I'm on camera. We've seen some. I am not going to move. My butt has been glued to the seat. I will not move. I will stare straight forward, or else move around, be normal. You see, if you put 2 people, you can talk and look at Rebecca, I can look over here, I can look out the window. Be normal. But what I love is I believe you have a picture of racehorses.
I love
correct?
that picture.
But the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, depends on who you talk to.
And what's right behind your shoulders?
A Williams video game.
Oh, very cool.
See, use that all
And my
to your
guitar
benefit.
massage chair.
I love that, man. You have more to talk about than anything. We could talk about video games back in the day in the
Right.
arcade.
That's better than any talking point you could prepare.
Horses, we're in Baltimore, Preakness. Right away, we can have tons of conversations with you already.
And then we know that you
Interesting.
have a love for the past, that you don't just throw away the past because of the game back there. We know that you like competition, and you can really pull out a lot from what's right behind somebody.
Interesting. Okay, that's helpful. And
It's very similar to offices. When we all went to offices, you walk in and you look at people's desks, and you can tell exactly, people put stuff out for a reason. Let's be real, people.
Yeah.
We don't just put it out because we like it. We also want to show other people. That's why we have trophies and awards and certificates. Otherwise, that whole promotional business, I saw someone on here with a promotional, wouldn't exist for 100+ years.
We had a client once in the education field who was brought in to supervise a whole team, and she felt like she wasn't connecting with her team at all. And she couldn't figure out what was wrong with her, and she was really hard on herself about this. And her boss brought us in for the same reason. And she felt that pressure of people are noticing that I'm not connecting. And we said, before we even talk to you, we need to see your office. We went in, and there was no commitment to staying long-term there because she had not one thing on the walls. People couldn't figure her out. There was nothing to connect with her because all it was a blank wall.
Right. Interesting. Do you ever find with regards to the personal connections, not having the screen like I do, or talking about your favorite type of candy bar, do you ever get people that say, I don't care about you, what's your value proposition? Because I've seen that in cold calling. You're annoying me with platitudes. What's the value proposition? I want to buy from a person. I want to buy a value. I don't have that interpersonal connection to a person that's prospecting towards me.
Well, if someone said that to me, I don't care about that. I'd be like, man, I know this is not going to work as a relationship, and move on. Because that is going to be, there are some customers that are going to take more work than you can even afford. You're going to lose money on that customer.
And that reaction from that customer is telling you a lot about what it's going to be like with them moving forward. They're not going to be understanding. There's not going to be empathy.
It's similar to the high producer salespeople. We've worked with companies that got somebody doing $2-3 million in sales, but they're annoying and really bother everyone else. Once they quit or are forced out, everyone else does $1 million.
Everybody else's numbers rise. And there's this fear of, but this is our top producer. So what if she's toxic for everybody else in the workplace, or he is?
Don't take on toxic people. It is not worth the money.
And follow your gut instinct. Keith and I do a lot of second interviews, and we've been doing them for years over Zoom. And we're able within 5 minutes to know, okay, this person is going to be good, or there's something wrong here.
Right. That's interesting. I got about 20% of my clients that are not nice people, and I still make a lot of money off them. So I've seen a different perspective there, but I understand and appreciate what you're saying. You make the money off the most agreeable people, but there's still a lot of people out there that are shitbirds interpersonally, who still trigger only on the value proposition. The social nicety seems to be a negative to them. I found you have to pick your buyer, whatever that's worth. And even if buyers have a bad interpersonal attitude, there's a fair subset of them that are very successful, and that it's almost their trigger. They want you to not be put off by their indifference and callousness, and they want you to respond constructively with the value proposition. And once you do, they've hit you once in the face, and you come back with a smile and you say, here's your value proposition. That's often a defense mechanism they're putting up to screen out lousy cold callers, at least in my experience, whatever that's worth.
I agree with you. I would say you have to look at your own thought process about how you want to interact with the world. And I agree, the devil has a great stronghold on a lot of people. Bluntly. And that is just the way it is. And there are some bad people out there.
Indeed. Any parting thoughts? I don't want to monopolize your time here. With regards to my virtual background, I understand the feedback you're giving otherwise. I appreciate that. For the client that wants to see this one, is there anything to tweak about that, or would you recommend?
We need to see you again.
Hold on,
How
let me
you
move
fell
over
off our
here.
screen.
Yeah, let me move over here. I'm not
Click on
seeing.
spotlight top right. He should fill your screen.
Yeah, he's not right now. I'm not sure where you're.
The guy with the big forehead and the blue shirt.
Big forehead and blue shirt. It's not popping up here.
And a never give up mug to look for me.
A lot of you guys have really big foreheads, so you do really.
There we go.
What about doing some advertising right there?
Just
That's
big
right.
heads. Big
I mean,
heads.
everybody's
different
got. I
things.
got a big forehead. I mean, I don't know how we're gonna do it.
Keep that background up for maybe a split second, but then we want to see you in your office or in your home, because you can send ahead a business card and people will see your logo. We've never connected with people over logos. We've never used a PowerPoint presentation to make a sale.
Okay.
Plus, it rings. I'm going to be completely blunt. It rings a bit of used car salesperson look. It just doesn't feel it doesn't feel like I know you. I mean, all I see is your company, secure your fit, reduce your risk. It doesn't feel as genuine as your office with stuff I feel real with.
I'd rather see you have a coffee or water you're sipping from at a desk where you can get a sense of, hey, this is where he's going to make things happen.
Is that
That's
there?
much better.
My trust level with you just went up 100%.
Because it feels as though you're letting us in to you. The
Interesting.
other one is a mask.
Okay, that's really helpful. Does it differ at all if you're kind of in Daya's role as the presenter and the host relative to being just a participant in the screen, or do those rules?
Here's what we've learned. We never bite the hand that feeds us, so I'm not going to provide a comment on who is.
All right, hypothetically, if Ron Wills was giving the presentation.
That's right. I'm not going to provide.
Let's put it this way. Keith and I never will have our logo behind us.
Okay.
Because we want to be what you remember. We don't want you to think about after this, oh yeah, that's their logo, the T and the S. We want you to think about us and say, hey, I could see getting along with them. I want to learn more about them versus
Right.
I want to know more about their logo.
It's
Okay.
similar to if you're in a band, and you're a singer, you want everybody to remember you, not the backup singers. I don't want people going, damn, I really like those backup singers. I don't really care about the main celebrity, but those backup singers were awesome.
Right, sure. Okay.
It's all about us. We're just narcissists, right?
Or business development people. That's
That's right.
We designed our set for you to feel as though you've come into our kitchen, because that's where the most real conversations happen in any home. You've come into our kitchen and we're all being real. We're comfortable and we're real.
Okay.
Not to say that there are not a lot of other great opinions, and you may have the next speaker come on and say, those guys are fools, that's ridiculous they're in a kitchen. So we're providing you one point of view. Don't always take our word for it. Get a lot of different viewpoints.
It also matters how you're most comfortable, because you could take, for example, the same outfit and put it on 4 people. The person it looks best on has nothing to do with their body shape or anything like that. It's how they feel in it, because that confidence shows. And if you feel at your best with a background with a logo, then that's how you're going to be at your best.
Like we had a client who could always put their hands in their pockets and would shake them, and just was really made people uncomfortable, and just a nervous habit. So they sewed his pants pockets together. Well, he then got up there to speak. He's a politician, and he looked like a freak.
It looked like he was scratching himself. And that's all people thought. Was, what does he have?
What's wrong with him, right? So they unsewed him because they realized, look, this guy, he's done pretty well. He's not comfortable not having his hands in his pockets. Just let him do it. So if you feel comfortable with a certain thing, it's better than looking like a weirdo and being uncomfortable.
Right, there's not a one background fits all approach. It's however you are going to feel your most confident and your best, and that might change. One day you might feel great, and then another day the sunlight could be really harsh and it's coming into the room and you realize, okay, my logo is how I'm gonna wanna be today, otherwise I'm gonna focus on this shadow across the room. Then that day go with the logo.
We're just telling you what works for us, and we've only cleared $20 million a month, but if you want to try, I'm kidding. We're just telling you what works for us the best.
Yeah.
Other people have different opinions.
Yeah, no,
Other question.
that's what we're asking for. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And for anyone who didn't get a makeover today or feedback and you want it, we welcome anybody to snap a shot of you in your setting, email it to us, and we'll send you back some feedback. And we'll also send everybody who participated today a checklist of things to watch for when you're setting up your virtual background.
I have a comment. I was on line with one of my clients, and I coach business owners. So I was on the line with one of my, we call them members, but one of my clients, and he started eating breakfast because it was a, morning meeting. Look, I was so turned off by the food, the whole thing. And he's such a nice guy. I didn't want to say anything, but I just would caution anybody. There's some people like me that just have this real adverse reaction to people eating things in front of
You want to take an apple over?
I was about to eat an apple.
Yeah,
real
grab an
quick for
apple
fun.
and let me.
But I'm the same way. I find it. I mean, if it's a small thing they pop in their mouth, you don't notice it, no big deal. But if you're munching down on a big hoagie sandwich, that's disgusting.
Or when people are trying to get the very last of something and they're taking it back.
All I could focus on was that spoon going to his mouth, bunch of cereal on it. And
cereal's disgusting to begin with. I mean, that's gross to watch.
There are some things you should never even order if you're at a networking meeting. But if it is going to be a true breakfast meeting, either everyone has something or no one does. And a touch that we recommend to a lot of people, we have clients who used to fly across country to entertain potential clients. And they said, yes, we're saving a lot of money not doing that, but how do we show people that we want to give them a gift? It's as simple as sending Uber Eats or Grubhub, send somebody their favorite coffee. That way you don't have to watch them chew. But sending someone something to enjoy during the meeting is memorable.
And I think if he eats again, I may have to have a conversation with him.
I think you will.
It would be the best thing you could do for him.
Yeah.
And say, look, man, you wouldn't do this in a meeting face to face, and you might actually. I think you need to have a discussion. I agree, because unfortunately, people have through society. I'm not giving a political opinion here, but they have lost many of those mannerisms that people have. I mean, just notice people. I was talking to a neighbor about this. The agitation that people feel in driving compared to what it was 20, 30 years ago, where they'll honk at you at the slightest mistake if you're not off a light in time or anything. People have lost that mannerism, the sense of manners, and we need to bring that back. And the best way to do it is coach what you're doing, is coach other people. And, hey, this is not the right and proper thing to do.
That's a coachable moment that he should appreciate. And something else that we notice a lot, especially with women, and no one's done it on this call, is we notice a lot of people playing with their hair. They're checking themselves out on camera and playing with their hair. If it's not a good hair day for you, or if you are not feeling at your best, take a sticky note, cover the shot of yourself, because it looks awkward when people can tell that you're constantly checking yourself out.
But it has been a great season for cosmetic surgeons, let me tell you. It's been great. People all looking into this. That and cosmetic dentistry, there's an uptick there. People all looking at their smile.
And weight loss counselors.
Exactly, it's all those people. Any other questions? I know we're running into our time here. We don't want to
home builders also.
That
all
is
this time in their house. Home builders and construction.
Stanley Black & Decker's stock, or their last quarter, was higher than they've ever had in the history. One of our clients, because people are buying tools and looking around. We did the same. How many people have looked around your house and thought, I never realized what my house looked like in the middle of the day?
We have blinds up windows that for years we thought we don't need blinds there because we were never here to see out of those windows.
It's things you don't notice when you're not around them all the time. So it's funny that way.
But now that we have 12 hours a day to stare into our neighbors' homes,
Yeah, I can tell you all the problems with my neighbor's house too.
we know what they eat, what they eat.
Right. Any other questions? And it just let people know what ft.TALLsmall, our main business. We came together 7 years ago. I was a former lobbyist and a record TV reporter, because we go out and hear people giving presentations and public speaking, and we thought, dear God, this is boring and horrible to listen to. And we work with people to become communicators who energize an audience, who have fun with it, but don't have all the theory. Learn how to tell stories and be human.
And that translates to everything from career coaching. A lot of people come to us and they say, every time I apply for that promotion or to get to the next level, I'm never the one chosen. And we help them figure out why.
Or people just communicating in meetings or virtual, how to do a presentation, how to get rid of all the filler words, the like, so honestly, actually, I was just thinking maybe we should. And blah, 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 all the weak language, especially we love working with the introverts, not the loudmouths, but the introverts, because they have a lot to say, but they never say anything.
And the problem is on these Zoom calls, especially, people's attention spans are shorter than ever. And it's critical that everybody learn how to speak in soundbite length sentences, because a lot of times a salesperson will talk on for 2 or 3 minutes, and there might have been a moment where the other person felt hooked, but then they forgot even what the person was saying because they go on too long.
And the main thing whenever you're speaking is think of the other person as being a real, tough guy from New Jersey. I love to say that for Rebecca from New Jersey, but saying, why do I care? Why do I care? That's what people are thinking when you're talking to an audience, especially when we train state police. That's our favorite group. You show up at 9 in the morning, you say good morning, they're like, yo, is it for you? Because it's not for me.
Because I was forced to be here.
So you've got to show people why they should care.
And pretend everybody in the room, when you first get on, really doesn't want to be there. And then you'll be at your best. Similar to that old one of pretend everyone's in their underwear. We don't do that.
No. And never pretend everyone's eating.
No.
That would be really bad.
And last closing thought is make sure, because we've seen this happen, we know of people this has happened to. A lot of us, if we have kids, we'll tell our kids we're going to be on a Zoom call, but we might forget to tell our significant other. And there was a woman whose kids were being extra hyper one day, and she took the Zoom call into the bedroom and didn't mention to her husband, who was in the shower, that she was on a Zoom call with her entire team. And then out he walks in his birthday suit right by the Zoom. Make sure you clue everybody in on your house.
Yes, let people know what's going on. It's been great working with everybody, talking with everybody, getting to see everyone. I hope everybody has a wonderful Tuesday.
And thank you for including us this morning.
Thank you.
I'll let Dave say thank you, but this has been great. I've really enjoyed it. Now, after I spent all this time to get the box lights, to get the background, now I'm just going to haul it out of here and throw it in the trash can.
You can send us the box lights because they're on our wish list.
Yeah, that's actually one of our things we got to get. We realize that as the seasons change in
Yes.
fall, it's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. As the seasons change and obviously the earth moves, light comes in very differently. And so you've got to pay attention to those things. Something we noticed, because we haven't been dealing with this in the fall yet, is that we need the same thing. So it's very
Especially
smart.
come 5 o'clock.
Your lighting is excellent, by the way.
It
I
is.
love your lighting and your setup.
It's perfect.
I mean, the background, I would love to see more of that, but seeing you are as clear as a bell.
The box lighting is surprisingly inexpensive. Under $100 for 2 box lights.
Mhm.
And I used to have halogen lights, 3 or 4 of them.
Ooh.
And it's a small office in my basement.
Mhm.
And it must have gotten 95 degrees in this room in the middle of one of our presentations. So I said I had to do something, and I bought these box lights, and it just casts a really nice light.
It's a very clear
Very
shot
flattering.
on you. I mean, it's very clear. It looks really good.
Just don't have the stuff behind me like you were talking about, but
What is behind you if you took that thing away?
it's a green screen, but this is kind of an unfinished room, so it's not attractive at all. But it just so happens to be the quietest room in the house. So dog barking upstairs, don't hear it. Shut the door, don't hear anything. Nobody disturbs. So it was chosen for that reason.
And something we've had a number of people, same situation, where the garage, basement, unfinished, and they'll go up to Lowe's, get a big thing of wallboard, basically, put it behind them, hang some pictures, and you would not know the difference.
I've seen people actually buy the background with the books in the book.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And it looks like you're in their office, and they're a brilliant individual with just thousands of
We see that a lot, especially on the news shows when they bring on analysts. You wonder, wait a minute, they had the same books on their shelf as the other guy did.
They must all be sharing books in a library here.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
the universal sitcom background, the
Oh,
stairs
yeah.
and the sofa. It's like that's every single set. So,
Exactly.
any other questions from our guests and members? Oh, Brian.
One last one. One thing's been controversial. When we first started rolling out a policy, my question to the team was, if anyone else is on video and they're a prospect or a client, then you're on video. And the question came up about compulsory mandates for that. I'm of the mind that you reciprocate and mirror whatever the behaviors are from the other party. Do you have any studies or data that speaks to how that puts people off? Because we've had some people on my team that, one, don't want to make it compulsory for staff, feel there's some kind of privacy rights or things like that about having the video active and the background visible. So any objective data that you know of that can help me refute that? Because from an interpersonal standpoint, it seems highly problematic to developing a relationship when the customer is putting themselves out there and you are not.
One of the best things that you could do, and this is going to feel like a shameless plug, and it is make people comfortable. A lot of times people will say they're not comfortable because they don't know the first thing about how to set up their shot. If you take maybe a half hour and show them how to make themselves feel better on camera, making sure that everybody is equipped with a comfortable place to do that, then that's going to change. It would be unfair to suddenly say, okay, everybody has to be on camera, and then not give them the tools to make it work.
Okay.
You can also clearly say, if you're under company time, if you're getting paid by the company, that you must be visible, similar that you must show up at meetings. They couldn't just say, well, my imaginary self is showing up at the meeting. That wouldn't make sense. If they're on work time, work hours, you must turn your video on. And people love to cry out, well, that's invading my privacy. Find a private place to go. Go somewhere else.
And this is an exhibit of how light changes by the moment. I can't reach our pull it down.
But, and I keep talking because I can with a mic. We use a lavalier too, so it makes it easy. But the fact is, people are using the privacy right area to say I don't do anything, and it's overboard. They're overstepping.
They're hiding behind it.
You're on company time. Turn the video on.
Also, it's less than $25. I believe Zoom even has their own ring light that can clip onto a laptop or a phone. Invest in your people to help them look their best.
Okay.
And in a world where people are getting laid off from jobs left and right, they should really think twice about deciding, no, I'm not going to turn my video on.
I think some of it might be a socioeconomic driver where they're not comfortable in their modest background.
But that's where the best backgrounds are modest ones. Nobody is saying sit behind with your finest crystal in China or have a famous painting behind you.
Like we should be on a yacht with
Exactly.
the wind blowing.
A brick wall is phenomenal. A shower tile is great. Anything that's crisp.
Remember, people use a lot of things as excuses. A lot of things.
Sure, it's an introvert factor as well.
I'd say, Brian, if I may, it's like all the coaches on the call are cringing a little. We're cringing and we're seeing the opportunity there.
Sure.
So